Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Invest with Carl podcast. I'm Jamie Eppenberg, your host and a member of the Carl team. And today we are chatting once again with our CEO, Gunnar Cuevas. And those of you who aren't aware, Gunnar is, and today's episode is about how it works, how the Carl app works, and how we have created these investments for you. So welcome, Gunnar. Gunnar is a 15-year technology entrepreneur, having successfully created and sold his first technology company before the age of 30. He then spent 10 plus years focusing on quantitative investment strategies, creating, managing, and reviewing them before realizing the dream of opening up powerful, sophisticated investments to more regular investors through the Carl investment app. Obviously, now Gunnar focuses on enabling regular investors to invest like institutions and the uber wealthy have for years, with real diversification and strong intended risk controls only quant high-end sophisticated strategies can provide. Welcome, Gunnar. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jamie. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we haven't actually chatted in a while, so good to have you back. We've been talking with all our strategy managers.
Right.
Yeah. So we today, if you can help us understand, first of all, when I go into the Carl app, like what happens? What do I need to do first? I know I'm maybe I know I'm there for hedge funds, but maybe that's all I know. Then what am I going to see, and what do I do first?
Right. I think that's great to talk and discuss a little bit on how everything works, right? We're trying to give people an idea of what to expect. So, when you download the app, you're basically the first thing you want to do is probably create an account and go to through the onboarding section. This is, as you know, the area where there is some legal activities happening on the background. As a company, we need to do the KYC, and we need to do which stands for know your client, and AML for anti-money laundering regulations. So in this step, we will ask clients, and we will ask you to enter, your name. We'll ask for your last name, email, things that you probably are familiar with. We will also ask for some of your personal data, such as your date of birth, social security number, your address, and we'll ask you to submit a copy of your ID or a passport, so we can make sure that you are who you say you are. This is done in a very secure environment. We encrypt all the data that is provided. And we do this to comply with regulations and to make sure that you, as an investor, are certain that your data is being handled in the most secure manner. I think that's the first step that you take when you're creating a Carl account.
And I think we were able to minimize, just in the past couple months, the number of documents that an individual has to provide, right? So now I think they just provide one.
Correct. Now you only provide the ID, so either a passport, I think, or a driver's license. And this is thanks to you and our team of engineers that have figured out ways to cut the friction, but still be able to do everything that we do in terms of the data handling and the data analytics. So yes, you're right. The goal obviously is to create trust and to reduce the friction when creating an account. So make it easier for you to be able to access the information and access your account and your funds, obviously.
And how long? So let's say I submit all this information that I already know, and then I submit images of my driver's license, which is what most people do, which is not too bad. You usually have that on you. How long does it usually take? And I know there's a few providers on the back end who are checking the customer identity, which is the big part that's happening here. How long does it usually take to get an application approved?
Right. That's a good thing. I'm talking about providers, right? So we have a few providers, as you know, behind of what we do, not only for our service, but for the partners that we use, our banking partners and our hedge fund partners. So in total, you should expect to have your application turn around in somewhere around 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. We were trying to get this down to just maybe a few minutes. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but that's the goal. That's the goal.
I have faith because that's my job. So I feel like in the next 6 months, we're going to get it down to
Right.
like 15
Yeah.
minutes, but we'll see. So about 24 hours to get through all of this and get the identity checked and application approved, which is great. It sounds like they don't need much more than the information they know and an ID. Then, so at that point, I can go in and I can look at strategies, right? But well, actually, why don't you walk us through if I know I want to invest, is my money safe when I request a deposit? If I want to say,
Right.
yes, I'm ready to bring in funds, how does it go?
Yes. So the good thing is that by setting up your account before you decide whether you're going to invest or not, or you're going to transfer your money, we already done all the legwork to basically know our client, know you, and know that you're not in any FBI lists or anything like that. So we are okay, and our partners are okay with receiving your money. So you should feel good about being accepted to, or have an account approved. That means that there is no red flags about you anywhere. So once you've done that process, the next step is to link a bank account. We use a partner right now. We use Plaid to do this. For those that don't know, Plaid, it's a company, it's an aggregator that allows basically a secure connection to your bank. What you're doing at this point is you are creating a secure connection between your bank account and our banking partner, so you can initiate your investment, to the transfer of your investment.
Right. So with those partners, the partners actually store the data, right? They're an industry leading provider of this service. We actually don't store their bank account. Is that right?
That's correct. We don't have access to any of the bank account information. We basically use in this case, third-party service like Plaid and our banking provider, which is Duola, to basically make this in the safest way possible. So we don't store any banking information. The banking information is shared using a secure token between our banking partner and your bank, and that's how we can create a connection between the two.
Right. Now, I do want to just mention with the services, in general, your bank is in the list, and usually you just find your bank and it'll connect. If your bank is not on the list, which sometimes does happen, there you can just do like a kick it with an old school ACH. That option is there as well. So just we get that sometimes. Can I do it the way I'm used to? Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And it's as we have in the past had some requests of people that they do not want to link their bank account at all,
Yes.
because they want to protect their financial information, and we have received checks. So
Yes, that's an option too.
In the case we receive a check, we process the check. The check is deposited through a digital, basically a picture. It's a digital deposit. Once the deposit has been confirmed, we send a confirmation to the client saying that the check has cleared and we have received the funds. And after that, we destroy the check, or the physical check.
Yeah, so that takes more time for sure.
That takes a lot more time. Yes.
Yeah, the digital channels at this point with the third party providers are really quite secure. Yes. But we can do it however an investor needs it done. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. So we provide we try to provide as many options to make you feel as comfortable as you want. Yeah. So yes.
Right. So at this point, I have my application approved and I have made a deposit, which usually if you're sure you want to invest, that's the easiest way to go, because it will take a little bit of time, anywhere from usually 1 to 5 days to get your deposit in. And that's a great time to review the strategies and review the investments. You can review the investments ahead of time before you make a deposit. That's also, you can totally do it once you have an application in process. But Gunnar, then if you can tell us, how do I review these strategies? Like, I know you guys have said, I'm an investor, and I know you've said there's data in here, but where do most people go, and what are we looking at with these strategies?
Well, as you know, we try to be data driven, and we're observing how people are, what questions they have for us, and what are the parts of the app that, let's say, are being used the most, especially for new investors. We have created a few videos that I think we sent as soon as you become a client that help you navigate the app. But I think there is a couple of tools that we have created that are very interesting. One is that you can review these funds, and we're trying to create more engagement around this. So you go into a strategy, you can find who is the manager, or the key people, what the strategy does or how it works, what's the investment universe. Like do they trade equities, or do they trade options or futures? This gives you an idea, let's say, of what the strategy is. And then we have added videos, we have added historical performance information that you can review and compare against other things. Once you are certain about, or you don't have to even be certain, but you found something you like, you can start playing with the second thing on the app, which is our portfolio builder. So you can, whether you have send money or not, you can create what we call the research portfolios. So you can create these portfolios whether you have an existing portfolio or not. And with this, basically, what you do is, well, it creates a backtest, and we got to be careful and tell everybody that a backtest has certain limitations, obviously.
Right.
But what it does really is it shows you that if you had invested, let's say, a year ago, your money in different strategies, it will show you how that portfolio with that selection would have done over the past year. So it gives you a sense of, and also provides you with the statistics for that portfolio. So it gives you a sense of where what would have happened. Obviously last year, some people say it was different, some people say it was very important, because we were in a pandemic, and where you were either affected by it one way or the other. And this
Right.
obviously affected the economy and affected the markets and affected how these strategies behave. So you can start looking at that, and that will give you a sense of how things work. So the idea is that you can find portfolios that fit your investment criteria, whether you're trying to just go after better returns, whether you're trying to lower the volatility of your portfolio. You might be more risk averse, you might be more risk seeking, or you might just be trying to look for good investments that are uncorrelated to the market. So we provide you with all of those. Once you have created, you can create a few portfolios. You don't have to create just one. You can follow these portfolios, right? And you can see how they do over, a period of time, like a week, 2 weeks, so you can see exactly how they're behaving until you're comfortable, and you can then, initiate the transaction. Or if you're already an investor, maybe you're thinking about changing your portfolio, and that gives you an idea to, before you, let's say, change the portfolio immediately, that gives you an idea of how the portfolio would behave if you actually do change it. So I think it will give you a lot of flexibility on your portfolio creation.
Right. So we can basically go in and explore individual strategies. And then once we look over our individual strategies, we can put them together in a couple different ways and track them if we'd like, is what you're saying. Like, we can take a look at how different combinations of investments might work for us. So great. So once you make a portfolio, and I think this is kind of the last step, once we make a portfolio, I know we talk about liquidity and our options for changing portfolios. What are the timeframes investors are looking at here?
Yeah, so these are still, our goal is to make it simple for people to buy and sell alternative investments, right? And because these are more sophisticated, more complex type of investments, it's the liquidity might be there, but it doesn't work exactly like a stock. So when you're investing with Carl, you should be mindful about the 15-day notice. So we operate on a monthly liquidity. So if you want to invest more money, or when you make your first investment, you have to create that portfolio and allocate your funds and choose where you're going to invest by the 15th of the month, so that portfolio or that investment can actually be realized on the first of the following month.
Right.
So right now we are on July 12th, I believe. So there's basically 3 more days to participate on the August 1st liquidity cycle, right?
Right.
That means that also if you want to get a distribution, right? So if you want to take some money out, you want to sell part of your portfolio,
or make those adjustments you were talking about.
Exactly, or make the adjustments to your portfolio, you have to do it by the 15th, so that these things happen on the first of the month. And that's generally the timing that one has to keep in mind, that you have to, because we try to provide the liquidity on a monthly basis. So if you need capital, we make it available on the first of the month. If you need to invest more, we make it available to the managers, the capital that you're investing on the first of the month.
Yeah, so we have an investor or two who has an automatic deposit on. They put a little bit in the account every month too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so lots of options there. Great. I mean, that kind of takes us through a full cycle of making a pending portfolio, getting it in by the 15th of a month, and getting an application deposit, getting that pending portfolio made by the 15th, and getting invested by the first of the next month. Anything else I'm missing for investors?
No, I think that's some of the things that they should know. How some people have asked how it works, that you can provide real-time performance information.
Oh, yes.
And this is something about the way we have built this over this period of time. We have what we call a shadow accounting system underneath, that is basically, it's called the net asset value. Each hedge fund has a net asset value, which basically tells you, how the fund is performing. We calculate this net asset value every 5 minutes and provide it basically on real time directly on the app. So you always know how your portfolio is doing. On the other hand, you don't have to take our word for it. We have a third party administrator who will do an accounting of all the strategies we offer once a month and provide a statement. So this statement is also to provide you as an investor with a certainty that it's not coming from us. It's coming from somebody else who is there to basically look after the interest of the investor. This, it's something that it's very common in the hedge fund private equity space. It's probably not as common for people that are used to investing in stocks, right? But this is just to provide an extra safety for the investor. So in essence, we tell you how your portfolio is performing, but you have somebody else who is not associated with us that's going to give you a statement and tell you whether that's true or not. And generally, it's true. So we do that. And also we have an auditor. They audit all our funds, every single strategy that we have offer on the platform, and they provide a yearly statement. The statement generally is out on June or July of each year, and this is given, and it'll be posted directly on the app, so investors can review the audit statement as well. So we're trying to provide all these safeties and safety guards to investors, so they know that their investment is in good hands.
Right. A lot of outside looking in, so people can be sure of the investment they're making, and then it's doing what, at least strategically, it's doing what that it said it was going to do.
Yeah.
That's great. And then I know I'll mention, we also have a privacy policy. So we're never selling any of your data. We don't sell it to third parties. Honestly, we keep it extremely safe and keep it in very high value. So that just reminded me as well of third party items. A lot of oversight. We are a highly regulated industry. So you heard Gunnar talk a lot about abiding by regulations and making sure data is safe and ensuring all funds transfers are done with the highest of integrity, and that the funds oversight is also the highest of integrity as well, meeting or exceeding industry standards. Well, Gunnar, I think we've had, it was actually not, it's a pretty easy process. I know we talked through quite a bit today. We'll see if we have any questions from investors, but any last word for investors and final thoughts?
No, I mean, we try to make it easy. We're constantly, Jamie, the team, all of us, we're constantly working to try to make the process easier, simpler, and faster. Our goal obviously is for money managers and investors to be able to find a safe place to transact and meet. And, we understand that sometimes these things could be a little difficult or complex, and we are here to help. Something we didn't mention is our great, investor relations team that is led by Lindsay. So if you are an investor, you probably know Lindsay already. And if you are thinking about becoming an investor, you will meet Lindsay very soon. Lindsay will send to you, a welcome email as soon as you sign up, and she will be there, and the team will be there to help you with anything you need. So even if some of these things might seem not so common, or you have any questions along the way, we're always there. And as well as we extend the opportunity to meet any investors that want to talk to me or to you. We do this all the time. So we're here to help. We're here to provide as much help as we can, even though that we try to do everything we can to make it simple and easier to use the app and the services we created. But we understand we're people, and that people sometimes want to talk to other people. So
yes, we do kick it old school. There is a talk to Carl button right on our website and in most of our email communications. And quite frankly, you will often get Gunnar or myself. Actually, you get me a lot of the time. So we're happy to chat with you. I will mention that the flow we were going through today, the process we were going through today, was for a US investor. If you are a non-US investor, you can still invest with Carl, and entities as well. If your company has idle cash, which was the previous podcast, if your company has idle cash, you can put it into Carl, and those are a slightly different process. But as he mentioned, Lindsay will walk you through it. So it's pretty much the same activities, just there's a little more manual process there, but we can take you in, no problem. All right. Listeners today, thank you so much for listening to the Invest with Carl podcast. Gunnar, thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye now. Jamie. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Invest with Carl podcast. The views shared on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of Carl. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not intended to constitute and should not be deemed to be an offer to sell or a solicitation of an offer to buy any security or investment, financial advisory, legal, tax, accounting, or other professional advice. Carl funds are currently available to accredited investors with a minimum investment of $20,000. To learn more about Carl and to download the Carl app, go to investwithcarl.com.